ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चिदस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। So today's topic which we have selected is this Panchayatana worship, the worship of the Ishta and the Guru-Shishya parampara. So most of you most probably know that the puja paddhati, the worship which we follow, that we will be worshipping our Ishta, but before that it is almost mandatory, compulsory that we do the worship of the Panchadevata, the Ganesh, then Shiva, Surya, Narayana or Vishnu, and Shakti, Durga. So these are the 5 deities we have to worship before we start worshipping our Ishta. That's the tradition which we follow universally almost everywhere. So how this system has evolved, what it has to do with the Guru-Shishya parampara. So that's the topic which we have selected for this special occasion of Guru Purnima. So you all know that actually it is tomorrow, not today, but it's being the weekend we have selected today. But tomorrow is the Guru Purnima. It's the Ashar Purnima, the 4th month of our Hindu calendar. This is the 3rd month. The 3rd month of the Hindu calendar, on the full moon night or the full moon day, we are celebrating this Guru Purnima. So it's considered to be the birth day of Vyasa. That's why it's sometimes called Vyasa Purnima. Now, why Vyasa Purnima is considered as Guru Purnima? So you will find, as per the definition of Hinduism at present, what we have, the framework of Hinduism, it was devised by Vyasa. That he is the author of all the 18 Puranas, and he actually divided the 4 Vedas. The Vedas became so vast that it was almost impossible to really decipher its real meaning. So to categorize them and to make it into 4 parts, this Rig, Yaju, Shama, Atharva, these 4 Veda parts, and he designated some family lineage to take care of each of these 4 Vedic traditions. It's still continuing, though very few families are there. They're still continuing. In the south it is there. They're still continuing that tradition. And then he wrote these 18 Puranas, the Brahma Sutras, means to really understand the basic philosophy of the Vedanta. It's very difficult because it has become so vast. So he composed the Brahma Sutras to logically understand, for the logical reasoning, to understand the concept of Brahman, Atman, and the world. These 3 concepts, the God, the being, and the universe. For this, he's composed this Brahma Sutra. And then we will find that this Mahabharata, he's composed the Mahabharata and the Bhagavata Purana. So it's a huge work. So the entire Hinduism, the main tenets of Hinduism can be actually all ascribed to Vyasa, that he has actually categorized them, frameworked them, authored these Puranas. So that way he is considered as the Adi Guru. of our Hindu tradition, but he is of the Treta Yuga. The Hinduism was in the process of almost extinction by the time of the birth of Shankaracharya. So in this Yuga, we consider Shankaracharya as the Adi Guru because he had a huge role to play. When Shankaracharya was born, Hinduism was divided into almost, till now they have counted about 72 sects were there. So many. And many were practicing so many things which was full of superstition, evil practices. Kusanskaras came, these Kapalikas, these all traditions were very much powerful in those days. The Kapalikas, the Lokaitakas, the Charvakas were very powerful. That means downright materialism, that Ritam Kritva Ghritam Pivet, Javad Jivet, Sukhang Jivet. As long as you live happily. And as there is only one life, after this life there is no life. So don't think too much of what is moral, what is immoral. So you have to, if necessary, you take loan. Rinam Kritva Ghritam Privet. So enjoy your life, take ghee, enjoy your life in full. For that, if necessary is required, you go on taking loan. Almost the present society, it's all dependent on loan. So that's the society which we see that they were propounding in those days. Just live the life that way. And to take loan is not easy. That's why the word Charvaka came. Charvaka means Charu Vaka, very sweet word. So nowadays you will find, they say that communication is very important, isn't it? So you have to have Charu Vaka to really get loan. So you have to learn how to communicate. So that's how the idea of Charvaka came. That you have to speak very sweet, so that really you can influence people, and that way you can get the maximum advantage out of it. So that's this downright materialism that was prevalent in those days. And of course, this Buddhist religion became very strong. It was almost annihilating Hinduism, the Jainism. So many sects were there. At that time, we find Shankaracharya, his arrival. And his arrival is something wonderful, that he not only defeated the other. In those days, that was the vogue of the day. That whenever you have to prove the supremacy of your philosophy, you have to just invite others in debate. And in debate, whoever wins, his philosophy proves to be the supreme, and all the followers of that person, the one who has defeated, will now get converted to the one who has won. So that's how was the practice of those days. So that way we find Shankaracharya is having, throughout India, is going around taking part in debate. We know that so is his life. And with his sharp intellect, he established the Advaita Vedanta, the Vedanta philosophy. And then there's a lot of work which he has done. These literary works like that. He wrote the commentary on all the Prasthanatraya, the three major scriptures, the Brahma Sutra, the Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita, the Shruti, Smriti, and the Nyaya Shastra. In the three, he wrote the commentary. And he wrote, not only that, he wrote many Prakarana Granthas, like the Vivek Chudamani, which we are studying at present. He is the author of that. He established the 4 mathas, they are still existing. The 4 Shankaracharyas, the Puri Shankaracharya, the Sringeri Shankaracharya, in Dwarka one Shankaracharya is there, and in Badarikashram, another Shankaracharya is there. These 4 mathas, that lineage is still following, is our Shankara Adi Shankaracharya established them. They were the one who were upholding the Hindu religion. And in those days, the sannyasi was highly disorganized. The monks were highly disorganized, just roaming about. He categorized them into 10 divisions. That's called, it's still prevalent. Even we also belong to that one of the sampradaya, the Puri Sampradaya. These 10 sampradayas, they are called, this Dashanami Sampradaya, the Saraswati, Puri. You will find that Swami, the monk's name will end with all those titles. Saraswati, Puri, Bharati, Tirtha, Asrama, Vana, Aranya, Giri, Parvat, Sagar. So these are the 10 divisions. So you will find that the present framework of Hinduism, to a great extent, for that, the credit goes to Shankaracharya. He has established that. And not only that, the topic which we have chosen today, the Panchayatana worship, this Pancha Devata Puja, this he started. He conceptualized this idea, and this became the framework of our worship. Why he did this? Now, in those days, the idea was something wonderful, that if you go to a guru to get initiated in your spiritual life, now the guru will as if scan your inner being. He will talk with you, he will stay with you for some time to find out your temperament. Very interesting, today in the modern psychology, you will find there's giving a lot of importance to something called character strengths, signature strength. Very interesting. So signature means character. They have categorized 24 character strengths, and of those, a few may be your signature. Means that which defines you, that which categorizes you. It shows your uniqueness compared to others. So those are the signature strengths. Just as your signature is something which no one can imitate. That's what is your identity. Similarly, these are the character strengths. A few of those 24, few character strengths which defines you. That's your signature strength. Now, what the guru used to do in those days before Shankaracharya, so he will study the personality, and finding out your temperament, your personality, he will find out as if your signature strength, and then he will decide what is your Ishta, and will give you the mantra according to that Ishta. To give an example, even in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he is mentioning that someone is of the nature of Vishnu, someone is of the nature of Shiva. What he's saying actually, you will find some people are a bit impulsive, very energetic, impulsive, may get angry with quietly, and again will be pleased very easily. As they say of Shiva, Kshane Rushtam, Kshane Tushtam. It's very easy for him to get pleased and very easy for him to get angry. But again, you can please him very quickly. That's why his name is Ashutosh. But at the same time, he has a big heart. It's a wonderful heart he has. He's always ready to bless others, give boon to others. And seeing the human suffering, it is he who propounded the yoga philosophy. That's why he's called Dakshinamurti. He came down from the mountains, facing the southern direction. When you come from the Himalayas, you are facing the southern direction. That's why he's Dakshinamurti. He's coming down out of compassion to teach humankind in the science of yoga. So he's extremely benevolent, empathetic. So that's why if you will find even the human nature, someone is a bit impulsive, gets angry very quickly, but you will find his heart is very pure. He's always there to help others. So that's type of personality. The guru will find out and will say, for you Shiva is the Ishta, because that's your signature strength, and do japa. And some you will find is very patient. As Swami Vivekananda used to say about our Swami Sharadananda, the first General Secretary of our order, he was very calm and quiet. Nothing can perturb him. Whatever may be the crisis, whatever may be the situation, challenging situation, he faces it calmly, takes decision very calmly, never gets agitated. That's the type of Vishnu. Vishnu is that type. So for him, Ishta will be Vishnu. So now you find the divinity is one. It is not that that we believe in many gods. You will find that there is only one God, that is the ultimate reality, the Brahman, which we are worshipping as per our temperament, because the God has all the aspects which appeals me more, which is my signature strength. Accordingly, I adopt that as my Ishta, and that also by being guided by the Guru, and that becomes my spiritual path. Now you'll find the concept is wonderful, but what happens, with we the humans can have the capacity to really make evil of any good thing. All the isms are ideally very good, but we have the capacity to somehow distort it, disorient it, and that's what happened with the passage of time. You will find the concept of Guru was the concept of Ishta was based on your temperament. As per your temperament, you follow a particular aspect of the divinity, and that helps in flourishing your signature strength. That's quite good. But with the passage of time, we find there's a demarcation of followers. That I am the follower of Vishnu. Vishnu is the supreme God. They forgot the idea that it is the same divinity whose various aspects are Vishnu, Shiva and all. They forgot. They started saying, no, Vishnu is the highest God. The worshippers of Shiva, they're saying that Shiva is the highest God. And this resulted in all sorts of dogmatism. We find in our society the Ghantakarnas, the Ghantakarna, the story of Ghantakarna is very interesting. That a worshipper of Vishnu, he was so fanatic, he won't even hear the name of Shiva. That if someone just even speaks of Shiva, so just to make that sound totally shadowed, he used to have to bells as his earring. So he will start violently shaking his head. So the sound, because of the sound, he cannot hear this utterance of the Shiva. So that's how he will avoid even to hear about Shiva. That's why he's called Ghantakarna. In his ears, he's always this Karna. He's wearing the Ghanta, the bell. And now one day, Vishnu to show him that he and Shiva are the same. So when Ghantakarna was worshipping, and then what happened? Vishnu came in the form of half Shiva and half Vishnu. So half was Shiva and half was Vishnu. He came in that form. And Ghantakarna was meditating. He opened his eyes and saw that form. And there was incense stick was burning. So immediately he got up on the nostril of the Shiva, he pressed. Because he is not supposed to have the fragrance of that. So that type of fanatic. So we find a race full of these Ghantakarnas fighting with each other. In the name of religion, there is tremendous disharmony, dissension. So that's the time when Shankaracharya, again to bring back the idea that these all forms of divinities are the various aspects of the same Godhead. They're the various aspects. As per my signature strength, I resort to I choose a particular deity. That's why it is Ishta. Ishta means that which you choose as your chosen deity. That's the Ishta Devata. And I proceed in my spiritual journey. In the olden days, the tradition was such that even the wife need not know what is his husband's Ishta Devata. The husband need not know what is the wife's Ishta Devata. It is to be secret and sacred. Why? That sometimes if you divulge, the others may criticize your Ishta Devata and that will hamper your devotion. So keep it secret and sacred. But as we told, with the passage of time, this started getting crystallized, all the various followers getting crystallized, there was division. And in this context, Shankaracharya, again to bring the idea that it is the same Godhead who is finding expression as his various aspects, as per the various character strengths are concerned. So he just started this worship of this Panchadevata. He made it obligatory that all should have to worship this Panchadevata before goes to the Ishta, the sixth worship. First the five worship. Very interesting. Now we will find in the present modern positive psychology, they say that there are 24 character strengths. 24. And from where they got it? They thought it is something universal. We have studied all the perennial philosophies, all the old religions we have studied. And from there, that for the children you will be having a lot of parables. So from all those parables, from all the Puranas, the stories, what all characters are really eulogized, those we have gathered. And from there we find these 24 are the character strengths which are universally accepted. Everyone says, yes, these are the things which we should inculcate. And those 24 character strengths can be boiled down to 6 virtues. 6 virtues. And those 6 virtues are wonderful. They exactly will be tallying with your Panchadevata and the Ishtadevata. Okay. So now that we will be studying. What are the 6 virtues? That all those 24 character strengths, when it is boiled down, it is categorized into virtues. You have 6 virtues. The first virtue, they say, is wisdom. your creativity, then open-mindedness, to have your own perspective to look at things. So these are the things which speaks of wisdom. And you will find in our Hindu lineage, Ganesha is spoken of as the god of wisdom. You know the story. There are many stories. That one story goes that when Ma Parvati wanted that who can go around the world 3 times and come back, and he will give him the necklace. The Kartikeya immediately goes out because he's having that valor, that strength. He's the commander-in-chief of the Devas. So he goes around. And Ganesha, with this fat body, he gets up. Slowly he will be going around his mother and father 3 times. That my mother and father is the entire universe. And that's my entire universe, goes around the 3 times and comes and sits down quietly. By the time Kartikeya comes back and finds that Ganesha is sitting there with the necklace, he was surprised that how is it possible? And then when Parvati relates that he has that wisdom to relate to this idea, that's why he has got the necklace. And that's why Kartikeya got angry. Actually, Kartikeya's anger is is a good blessing. Actually, out of anger, he ran away from his father and mother, came to the south. And that's why as Murugan, he became one of the chief deity. So sometimes the 6th deity is considered as the Murugan. We say Ishta Devata, some say Murugan is the 6th deity. So the idea is that Ganesha is considered as the god of wisdom. That's why the elephant has tremendous memory. Their memory, that what they see, they never forget. They have a photogenic memory. So that elephant head actually speaks of his memory, his wisdom. And in many places we will find Ganesha is placed in between Lakshmi and Saraswati. They're sisters and brother. They're 3 siblings. And Ganesha is in between Saraswati and Lakshmi. The reason is that wherever Saraswati is, means wherever learning is, Lakshmi is bound to follow. But they are constant. These 2 sisters are very much quarreling. When the Lakshmi comes, immediately there will be lot of quarrel, fight, everything, and Saraswati will immediately run away. So that's what happens. Saraswati comes, and then Lakshmi, the goddess of learning, comes with that wealth. With wealth, all the fight starts. My share, your share, and everything. So, and then you find your Vidya is gone, and then that's why they say, between these quarreling sisters, if you keep the wisdom in between, then it can be balanced. So that's why Ganesha as wisdom has to be there between your learning and your wealth. If the wisdom is not there, you will lose your wealth, you will lose your learning, both gone. So everywhere we find that Ganesha is being universally accepted as the god of wisdom. And also in Ganesha there's 2 things. You will find his trunk is turning towards the left. In many places, in most of the places it is left, and in some places it is turning towards the right. Very interesting. When it is turning towards the left, they say that is actually Ganesha, which represents wisdom. Very interesting. Even in modern psychology, they will say that there is a crisscross in our brain. Your left hand, actually, all the perceptions, what you are doing with your left hand is perceived by your right brain. What you see with your left eye is perceived by your right brain. There's a crisscross. And right brain actually speaks of wisdom. It is photogenic. Left brain is the language brain. It will interpret things and speak out. Sometimes it is a propaganda machine. It will be speaking the things which it is not what it has seen. It won't speak out. It will just make out the things to prove that you are a benefactant being, beneficial and effective being. No one wants to say that I am of no use. So your language will be such. Even you are doing some queer things. Your right brain knows. Left brain will be producing some language to make you believe. You also will believe that what I am saying is genuine, and you try to make others also believe that what I am saying is genuine. That's why there is a book, very famous book. It's called "Why Everyone Else Is a Hypocrite." That's the name of the book. Is very interesting. That sometimes you feel what I am saying is correct, but others feel you are not saying the correct thing. But you feel I am correct. Your brain is fooling you yourself, because you will find whenever there is a football match, there is a quarrel among the fan, and you as a reporter, you go, you ask, both will say, we are genuine. It's the other side is at fault. Isn't it? It always happens. So it will make you believe that what you are seeing is correct. Even when there is a road accident, you ask 5 witnesses, you will find 5 different stories. Our bias somehow makes our story. We never say what really we have seen. But the left, if you just keep the right brain alone, it is autobiographic, it is having that wisdom. So left, you will say, very interesting, where the Ganesha's trunk is bent towards left, that Ganesha is considered as the Ganesha of wisdom. This is left has to connection with the right brain. So whatever it is. So Ganesha is considered as the god of wisdom. That is one of the virtues, of the 6 virtues. The next virtue is courage. We will take courage. Next virtue let us take is as the worship we do, accordingly let us go to the, discuss the character strengths of the virtues. The next virtue is humanism. As we were speaking of Shiva. You know, when Brahma created this universe, and there was, of course, disease, death, everything is there. So Shiva felt this creation is not perfect. A lot of imperfection is there. A lot of suffering is there. He went and asked Brahma that why you have created this imperfect universe. The Brahma's answer was wonderful. He told, the universe is, it is just as it is. It is just an occurrence. The suffering or happiness is how you react to it. The world is not miserable. How you react to it, that creates misery. So Shiva was really impressed by that answer. And then he went into the deep meditation. And in the deep meditation, he realized that the ultimate spiritual truth, from where he came down to propound the yoga philosophy just out of compassion for the entire beings. That's why he's called, just now we were saying, it says Dakshinamurti. He's facing the south. He's coming down from the Himalayas. So he is the god of compassion. So the humanity, for that, Shiva is the epitome. He is the one who is manifesting that. These are the exact six virtues which in the present modern psychology they are speaking of. First, the wisdom. Second, we are speaking of this humanism. Third, they speak of justice, fairness, the sun god. Sri Ramakrishna, the gospel is saying that you are reading the scripture in the sunlight, someone may be forging the coins, counterfeiting the coins, doing some illegal acts with the same sun god. The sun won't say, oh, you are doing something immoral, I won't throw my light on you. I won't shower my light on you. Oh, you are doing something punya only. So he has some, that justification, the fairness that he is giving to all. Even in the modern legal system, they don't say that you have done something wrong, that's why I'm punishing you. What they say is he is something different. His nature is such, he is bound to do such acts. Then why should I keep him in jail? Because not to punish him. Because nowadays you will find even in jail, living this your lifestyle is quite okay. Means you did not have to go really through those hardships which we used to think of in the past. They live a quite good life as much as possible in that confinement. The idea is because of his temperament, he is not safe to be outside. He has to be isolated. But at the same time, compassion is there, sympathy is there. That's why a lot of rehabilitation courses are there, that maybe through some rehabilitation courses, his nature can be changed. He can be again brought back to the society. So that speaks of justice, that no one, you say that as you have done something wrong, so you are totally barred from getting all the privileges which the society has. No, you all get. The justice speaks of even-handedness. Even this, I deal with all with the same type of attitude. The sun god represents that justice. The justice is the third. Fourth is the temperance, that you never lose your cool. Just now we were saying Vishnu. Now, once there is a very nice story, the Bhrigu. The Bhrigu was a sage. He is one of the Saptarshis, 7 rishis, one of the 7 rishis. He just thought that who is the greatest among all the so-called various manifestations of divinity. I will have to just verify. And for that, I will just conduct some test. What's the test? He first goes, the Brahma is his father, and he will be passing by Brahma without even looking at him, without bowing down to him, without showing any respect. And just, he hasn't behaved bad with him. He was a bit indifferent towards Brahma. And for that, Brahma was terribly angry. He was about to curse him. Bhrigu ran away. And then he went to Shiva. Now Shiva, you have, as you know, that he is always that ready to reach out. But again, he gets angry quite quickly. So Bhrigu, though he was not showing any respect to Shiva, he was also just passing by. It is Shiva who ran to meet and greet him. But Bhrigu never cared for him. Then Shiva got angry. And not only he never cared for him, he abused him. He used some very harsh words against Shiva. And then Shiva was about to just, burn him down, that bhashma. He will make him bhashma, he will burn him down. And then again, Bhrigu ran away. And at last he went to Vishnu. And Vishnu, you know, always he's lying on that, his Ananta Sheshanaga, lying and relaxing. So as he is relaxing, naturally he is not as if noticing anything. So Bhrigu went there and he felt that as if Vishnu is not even looking at him, he is indifferent. And that made Bhrigu terribly angry. So he went and first tried to draw his attention, but he was just simply lying. And then he kicked on his chest. Bhrigu went and kicked on Vishnu's chest. That's why that mark is still there. The Bhrigu's Pradachin is still there. And then Vishnu is aware that someone is there. And then he says, oh, I'm sorry, I haven't noticed you. And then he starts doing his Pada Puja. He's worshipping him. Please come, have your seat. It was my fault that I haven't noticed you. And then Bhrigu declared that this is the greatest, he is the greatest goddess. So, as per temperance is concerned, that to always be calm-headed. So that's the one, is the type of Vishnu. So that is another virtue, temperance. Always calm, quiet, never to get agitated. That's the fourth virtue. So first we spoke of wisdom, then we spoke of humanism, then of justice, and then this is temperance. And courage, of course, Ma Durga speaks of that. That we need not explain. Then when the Devas were being defeated by the Asuras, then all the Devas has to unify. The strength has to be synergized to create a new form of divinity. That's the goddess Durga, which speaks of teamwork. All the Devas came together, their energy was synergized, and with that synergy, this Durga was created, and it speaks of proactive goodness. And that's what Durga represents, that courage, valor, that against all sorts of evil doings, she is there to protect us. So now you find these 5 virtues which we are speaking of represent these 5 Panchadevata. The last is transcendence. That when you get bored with your work, what you do, you take a few days leave and just on some tour you go out where it is maybe some mountain range or some ocean. You stand near the mountain and seeing that ranges of peaks, it gives you a sense of infinity. So the same happens with the ocean. Something within us always is saying, you are infinite. Though I am limited, something within us is always echoing. That's our self, that you are infinite. There is no annihilation for you. You are always in bliss. And that creates that awe faculty. It's called, that's why they say that as a human being, we can never think ourselves limited. Sa anantaya kalpate. That's why the children love all those comic movies. We always try to teach them reason, science. That's why we nowadays don't teach them Ramayana and Mahabharata. But at last what they're doing, they're seeing all those comic movies which is full of supernatural things. And is just hooked to it. You cannot just take him out. Why? The same thing. That all those things which he cannot do or she cannot do, that character which is doing, he imposes himself in that character, identifies with that character, and feels as if transcending that limitation. This transcendence, awe faculty. So in our life, we do need that to nourish that awe faculty. It is very much necessary. If you don't nourish it, in the name of just moral education, just use your reason, what is good, what is bad. You need not have to be inspired. We are actually stifling that awe faculty. It is there within us. You cannot stifle it. If you stifle it, what happens? It will find expression in some way or other. And that expression will be a negative expression. I will just give an example. It's a very funny example. When Swami Vivekananda was in the West, he was delivering lecture on Advaita Vedanta. Okay, he was delivering lecture on Advaita Vedanta, that everything is Brahman. And then at the end of the lecture, one young boy stood up. He's a cowboy. He stood up and he told Swamiji, you are speaking of that non-dual Vedanta. It's wonderful. But in practice, as far as I know, you worship idols. You're all idolaters. You're idol worshippers. And Swamiji was having a mischievous smile. He was just pacing up and down the stage. And then suddenly he went near that boy, that young man, and told, well, you also are idol worshippers, aren't you? Well, no, I'm not idol. We are not idol worshippers. And then Swamiji, what he told is interesting. Why? You young man, don't you kneel down in front of a young girl and say you are angel? Isn't it an idol worship? A man of flesh and bones, body full of filth, you sit down and see that divine angel in that. So isn't it so what happens when we start growing that awe faculty, that to relate to something as if greater than me, we project all those ideas of all our ideals in some personality, some way or other, and start worshipping. That worship doesn't stay long, because in short time you find what that real person is, and then the start getting all your relations, all the conflict starts that way. But first, that's the thing what happens. You will be just projecting your ideas of all your ideal on that person, and you start worshipping. So what happens? All sorts of infatuation is the product of awe. So if you haven't taken care of awe, this infatuation is there. Not only there, in the present day, in the name of religion, what's going on? Again, it's awe faculty. The so-called highly educated persons are going for all those terrorist acts. They are ready to give away their life in their so-called mission to so-called kill the infidels, those who don't believe in the way I believe. Why? Because someone has explained them that if you die killing the infidels, you go to heaven, isn't it? See, again, that faculty of heaven is what? All the things I think ideal, which is not here, is there. So all faculty is working in a destructive way, either in destructive way or as infatuation. So here the scriptures has taken the help of the same faculty to use it in a positive way. They have this Rama, they are the real characters. Why it has been written and passed down through generation. They are the same awe faculty, that all the limitations which we have, that we don't see in those personalities. It is something transcending, the tremendous detachment, the Krishna. In everything he's involved in war, he's involved in all sorts of politics, everywhere he's involved, but he finds he's never becoming the king. He has the power to become the king, but he's the king maker. Why, that the Yadu, he belongs to that Yadu lineage. In the Yadu lineage, I'm not going to the entire story, there was a curse. The curse was that in your lineage, no one will become the king. And in the same lineage, Krishna is born. He has the full power to become the king. But he's respecting that, the curse of the lineage. He's respecting, okay. And he never became the king. To just cut the long story short, I'm just saying the very short part of that entire episode. So, he never became the king. He was the king maker. He had the capacity, the power, the administrative skill, the courage, the valor. He's the God himself. But he's just a king maker. He never became the king. He's establishing peace. He's establishing righteousness. So this speaks of something, reaching that awe faculty in a positive way. It's a positive way. The detachment, empathy, love. In that you find some personalities are having this empathy, love, to such an extent that they are even ready to sacrifice their own lives for the welfare of others. That speaks of going to the sense of limitlessness. through some positive way. You are moving spirally upwards. So that's why I still remember one of our old Swami Ashokananda. He was in the West. He was 80 plus age, old man, but he was a very nice. He used to give lectures very nicely, and his conversations were very interesting. So the young college students used to come and meet him, to have some time with him. One day, one young girl, there's just like a grandfather and grandchildren relation. So she's saying, Swami, Swami, that we visit you regularly. It seems that we have fallen in love with you. Ashokananda's reply was wonderful. He told, it's good that you love me. It's good. But you can never fall in love with me. Just see, we always say falling in love, isn't it? We always fall. You can never fall in love with me. You have to rise in love with me. So transcendence speaks of rising in love, not falling in love. So some ideal which you feel is something for me. Okay, after you practice these other 5 character strengths to transcend, now your Ishta Devata is there. With that, you transcend. You reach to you relate to your awe faculty to feel identified with that, and that way you will find you have taken care of all the virtues, all the so-called character strengths, and instead of just nourishing your signature strengths, the other character strengths also I am nurturing. So though we have signature strengths, but all other character strengths are dormant in us. It's not that those character strengths are nil. They are not there at all. They are there in the seed form. If we nourish them, they can grow and they can make us a full-fledged personality. Now the product of Shankaracharya's that worship, the culmination of thousands of years of that worship, we will say, is finding expression in another avatar, Ramakrishna. There we find that a wonderful confluence of all the aspects of divinity. He's worshipping every form. He's saying that aghe, I don't want to be one-sided. I don't want shutko sadhu. I don't want anyone who is of dry temperament. He used to say a very interesting thing, that human being is just like a flute. The flute has 7 holes, is it? It has 7 holes. Now, if you close all the holes with your fingers and keep one hole open and blow the flute, will any music come out? No, it will be a noise, just a noise. So for so-called all the personalities who are just nourishing their signature strength at the cost of all other character strength, you will find sometimes their life is full of noise. It is very much biased, one type of life. So Sri Ramakrishna used to say, if you want to have the nice tune, you must know the art of playing over your fingers over all the holes. Some should open now, some should open again at a different time, and then the wonderful music will come out from your life, isn't it? So these 7 holes of the flute speaks of all these various virtues which we can nourish. And that's what Shankaracharya aimed at. That why just be one-sided? Just try to inculcate all the, if God is the whole, He represents all these aspects, then why not? That's why in this worship, there is a very famous line which represents this worship, Shankaracharya's Panchayatana worship. It is called Devang Bhutva Devang Yajat. If you have to worship the divine, be the divine. So inculcate. Otherwise what happens? We keep the God in the altar. We say, you are great, but I am sinful. So there is no way I can really inculcate that thing, that I will do all sorts of things and come for forgiveness and you will forgive me. So that the line of division remains. You never inculcate. That's called ahangraha. There's vigraha and ahangraha. Vigraha means the one who is sitting on the altar. Ahangraha means when all the values that vigraha represents, that I have internalized in me, then that becomes ahangraha upasana. So this is an ahangraha upasana, where you are trying to internalize all the values within you by accepting all the forms of divinities. And that way you become a full-fledged personality. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Je samannoy koreche shei lok. Who is a real man who has done samannoy. And Ramakrishna's these parables are wonderful. We won't take much time. We'll conclude with this parable that used to say that, in the olden days, to smelt gold, if you have to smelt the gold, you need a lot of heat, that optimum temperature you need to smelt the gold. Now, in the old days, there was no such sophisticated, technology was not there. So how a common villager used to get that much of heat from from a furnace? So what he used to do, after lighting the furnace, you will find he has a blowpipe with which he is blowing into that fire. He has some fans, hand fan in his both hands, with which he is fanning. There's some paddle for his legs to paddle. That also is connected to some fan. So he's using his hand, his feet, his mouth, everything is using to get that optimum heat. And then only the gold smelts. So Ramakrishna is saying, you have so many faculties. Why not use all of them and accelerate your journey? Accelerate your evolution. You can accelerate the process. Why you just have to be so slow? You can accelerate when you can use all these various faculties. And that's the thing which we find, that if the Panchayatana worship, which was devised by Shankaracharya, if it has found any fulfillment, it has found fulfillment at last we find in the life of Ramakrishna, where he's wonderfully synthesizing all the various paths, all the various practices. And that's why sometimes we at present do feel that those who meditate on Ramakrishna is actually meditating in all the Panchadevatas one at a time, because there we find a wonderful synthesis of all the form. You will find, even in our worship, a wonderful thing. For the Shiva Bhaktas, they will use Bilva leaves. For the Vishnus, they will use Tulasi leaves. For you won't find any deity for which both are used together. It's only in the worship of Ramakrishna we use both, the Bilva leaf as well as the Tulasi leaf, because it represents all the forms of divinities. Sarva Deva Devi Swarupaya. So this is the thing which for the modern age we have to inculcate. It not only will give us a full-fledged personality, you yourself will become a full-fledged personality. At the same time, you will accept anyone with whatever aspect they have manifested. Instead of seeing the wrongs, you will be seeing the strong side of others. We are going to build on strength and overlook the weaknesses. And this Andrew Carnegie, he was asked that how there is no such labor union in your industry. And he told one thing, very interesting thing, that the one who search gold, they go down in the gold mine, it's not that it is made of gold wall. It's all just rock and bricks and soil. You have to just go through a long assiduous process, clean up a lot of dust to get a speck of gold. So those who are in search of gold, they don't bother about those dust and all. They're searching that gold. So he said, I search that gold. So that's why there is no confrontation. When you really see the gold in others and try to find the gold in others, then you know that their life conflicts has stopped. It's a very interesting thing. Swami Vivekananda in one place is a very nice thing he's saying. It's really something to reflect. He's saying, why we relate to the so-called the bad things of others, the evil of others, not to the good things. You know why? It's very interesting that we always relate the thing which I have. If you don't have a thing, he's giving a nice example. Suppose a small child is just crawling on the ground, is crawling, and there's a lump of gold kept in the table. Someone comes, takes the gold and runs away. Will that child understand something has been stolen? He will never understand, because thief is not inside him. As thief is not inside him, he cannot relate something has been stolen. So Swamiji say that when you see evil in the world, repent. That evil is in you. That's why you can relate. And why we see fault in others. Even if you have something good, generally I don't see it. But anything bad you have, I easily see it. Because all the so-called evil things, by default, is in all of us. By default, it is all of us. The good things are something designed. You have designed it yourself. Others cannot relate because you have designed it. But by default, all the evil things are there in you, in me, and everyone. Easily we can see that. So that's why when you see the bad, know it for certain, it is in you. Beware. Don't culture it by seeing the bad in others. Because what you discuss, what you see in others, that you contemplate. And that gathers, and what you contemplate, that gathers strength. So try to see the good, and that's the thing which happens with when you have this idea of samanvaya, this conglomeration, this idea of synthesis. I synthesize everything, try to inculcate all the good things, then I can easily relate to the good in others because I have inculcated all the good. And that way you bring a fulfillment in your life as well as you bring peace to the world. Atmana mokshartham jagatitaya cha. So that's what the tradition is speaking of. The more we are aware of this tradition, the more we will have respect to our gurus, the Adi Gurus, and the more we will feel motivated to follow that line so that we can also have a life which speaks of fulfillment within and without. So with this, we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskar.